Dear students, we discussed first stanza. So the first stanza is about the self-introduction of the brain. Stanza 1. This is about self-introduction. We have already discussed. And the brain introduces himself before the audience. I am Vicky's brain. Vicky, as you know, Vicky is a name, imaginary name. The poet gives a name to write this poem, fictional name. In poetry it is called, or in story it is called a fictional name, a character. And I am Vicky's brain. I am sitting and I am also watching people. It says I am sitting and I am watching people, those who come to this museum, and also I am sitting inside this formalin jar in disdain, in disrespect. Nobody gives importance, nobody cares me, nobody wants me, or nobody respects me, regards me. So I am sitting here very painfully, right? I can say I am sitting, the Vicky's brain says I am sitting sadly, right? And why I am put here? I am present here. I feel like a prison. I feel this formalin jar like a prison. I am inside this prison. I am inside this formalin jar, and they have kept me here for display, so that people will come and they will see this brain, and also students, medical students, they will study using my brain, looking at my brain. They will gain knowledge, they will develop their knowledge, they will improve their knowledge. Mu hochi Vicky to brain, Vicky ro mundare thiba brain, ebong mate ei bhitar rakha jaichi. Mu lokonko ya bhitar mu basichi, dukhare basichi, asommanar sahito basichi, mate kehi bi pacharu nahanti. এবং ମୁଁ ସବୁ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖୁଛି, ଲୋକ ଆସୁଛନ୍ତି ମୋତେ ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି, ବାରମ୍ବାର ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି ଲୋକ ମୋତେ, ଏବଂ ମୁଁ ଏଠି ରଖାଯାଇଛି ପିଲାମାନେ ମୋତେ ଏଠାରୁ କିଛି ଜ୍ଞାନ ଲାଭ କରିବେ. ମେଡ଼ିକାଲ ସାଇନ୍ସ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟସ୍, they will gain knowledge, they will improve their knowledge about brain. Let's go to stanza 2. How insulting to be called a specimen. We say specimen, that is specimen, right? 2 years ago I was part of a living human. I got no stroke, tumor, bugs within, and ended off in this jar to my circle. So this paragraph 2, the brain says how we came to this jar. So stanza 2, how this brain came to this, how the brain came into this jar, came into this jar. Right? And 2 years ago, that means this poem, the poet wrote this poem in September, in the month of September 1930, I think. September in the month of September 2013. Right. So the brain says, now how insulting to be called a specimen. People say, the students, they say this is specimen, right? A sample. We say namuna. A sample. I have become a sample. How insulting. I was with 2 years ago, I was part of a living human being. I was with Vicky, He was moving here and there, he was playing, he was dancing, he was working. I was there with Vicky. But now I am sitting here, I am watching the people, and this is very insulting for me. That means the brain does not like to be there inside the jar. Right? The brain does not like to be there. To stay there. And to also, the brain does not like to like people to say specimen. That is a specimen. I got no stroke, he says. I got no stroke. Tumor. Stroke means mental stroke, you know. Mental stroke. Sometimes due to high blood pressure, there is stroke. And people, they become senseless, they become paralyzed like that, right? And tumor also, you know, tumor, mass of face, the growth of a mass of face. And box means germs. You can say bacteria or virus, like that, germs. So that means the brain says there was no disease. All these three words say there was no disease. So the person was diseaseless. No disease. Right? There was no disease, but people have kept me inside the jar and ended up in this jar to my chagrin. Right? To my chagrin. And this chagrin means to my dissatisfaction. I am not happy to my unhappiness. Dissatisfaction. Right? We can say unhappiness. So I am not happy at all. I am very sad for this because I did not have any disease, but I was put inside this brain. There is no disease inside my brain, but I am put here. I am living a preaching life. I am feeling insulted, and how insulting to be a specimen. Look, mother, namuna kohibe. Mor godo nahi kichi nahi. Eta mote. So the first stanza about self-introduction and stanza 2 about the situation, about the feeling of the brain, how he feels inside the jar. Please. Children, I have already told you we have divided the poem into 3 parts. Part 1, stanza 1 and 2. Part 2, stanza 2 and 3, and part 3, stanza 4 and 6. Let's go to part 2, stanza 3 and 4. Please listen to me again, and then we'll discuss. Vicky was a young boy, smart and saving, full of life and vigor, sun, wind and rain. Computers and maths were his domain. His motto in life was no pain, no gain. Vicky's love for his parents was truly insane, and he adored his grandma, her wrinkles and cane. In college, and he stole a glance at Lorraine. Why his heart went thought, only I could explain. So these 2 paragraphs talks about description of Vicky and his relation with his family members and his college mates, friends. ए 2टी स्टैंडर आमे देखिबा जे विकी केउ भलिया थिला इनफॉरमेशन अबाउट डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ विकी रो वर्णना एवं चतुर्थ स्टैंडर देखिबा ता घर लोकन सहित तार संपर्क कोन थिला रिलेशन विथ हिज फैमिली मेंबर्स एंड आल्सो रिलेशन विथ हिज फ्रेंड्स right? So first we'll see the description, stanza 3. This is about description of Vicky, right? So when we describe a person, the poet describes Vicky as a person. You are writing essays about my father, my mother, my headmaster, my best friend, you describe them. When you give a description, you say how he is, his physical appearance, he is tall, he is short, he is sound health, he has sound health, he has got a round face, he has got a long, big nose like this, right? So these are all these things which are about the description of a person. So how the brain is describing Vicky? The brain is describing because the brain says, I was with Vicky 2 years ago and now I am going to give you information about Vicky. So the brain gives information. The brain gives information about Vicky, right? So the first line you see, Vicky was a young boy, smart and sane. So you are smart and sane. Smart, it gives a number of meaning. He was smart means he was beautiful, smart means he was brilliant, smart means he was clever, genius, you can say talented, so many things you can say, smart, right? So description number 1, Vicky was smart. Smart in the sense he was clever, he was brilliant, he was active, he was genius, he was talented, and these are all similar words, synonyms. We say similar words, give me same meaning. With same meaning. Right? And what we say technically, we say synonyms. So Vicky was smart, he was clever, he was brilliant, he was active, he was genius, he was talented. And these words you can also use in your essay at the time of writing. My friend is a very genius one, brilliant one, is very clever, like this, right? And also sane, sane, S-A-N-E, right? So when we say sane, what is sane? Right? Sane means having a sound mind, having a healthy mind. And we can also say he was very logical. His brain was very logical, right? His mind was very sound, healthy mind. He was wise, judicious in this sense. Sane means wise, judicious. So my dear children, you should remember all these words. These words will help you to write good English in your essays, in your writing. And so smart, clever, brilliant, the same thing. The poet says, Vicky was very smart and sane, right? Then full of life and vigor, full of life. Full of life and also vigor. So full of life means he was active, he was cheerful, he was always happy, right? He was cheerful. He was happy. And he was vigor. Vigor means strong, right? So this is, it talks about strength. He was strong. And how strong he was? Like the aspects of nature, they are very strong. Like wind, storm, rain, all these aspects are very powerful. And there is a comparison. The poets always they want to write beautifully, they compare, and that's why they use many adjectives. And this is one of the poetic use in poetry. Poetic means कवि बेले बेले एमती किसी शब्द लगाती जो शब्द गुड़िक कि सुंदर से माने गोटे जिनिस को गोटे वस्तु को गोटे जीवन नथिबा जिनिस को से माने गोटे लोक बोली भाबी नियंती ताकू पर्सनिफिकेशन कहा जाए आउ बेले बेले से माने एमती गोटे चित्र करि थान जे हम ताकू पढिला बेले देखा जाउते सब जेंती मु देखुच ताकू इमेजरी कहा जाए आउ कंपेयर करंती ताकू जेते बेले गोटे एडजेक्टिव सहित कंपेयर करंती एई भलिया ताकू मेटाफोर कहा जाए एई भली कवि माने सब द पोएट्स दे यूज पर्सनिफिकेशन दे यूज metaphors means adjectives they make comparisons and they also give images what is देखिला बड़ी oh you are very strong you are tall you can that means you can look at you can see closing your eyes you can see that image that picture right so strong like sun wind and rain. You see how beautifully the poet describes the person, describes the character in the lips of the brain. The brain is speaking, oh, I was with Vicky and Vicky was a strong boy. He was very cheerful, he was very clever, he was very happy, he was very logical, he was very judicious, his brain was very wise. And all these things, these are all about the description or describing words, right? And again he says, so when we say description of Vicky, descriptions can be made in two ways. One way, we say physical description. Another way, we say functional description. Physical means how he looks like. Denga, geda, ota, shirt pinich, bolo shirt. Egudak sob hochi physical description. Functional description, what is that? Tar qualification, what se kon koruchi, what does he do? He is a teacher, he is an officer, all these things. He is a graduate, he is talented, he is clever. All these things are functional description. So when we describe a person, we describe in two ways. One way is physical description and functional description. So this description can be done when we describe a person. We can describe physically, physical description, and we can also describe functional description, right? So when you are talking about you say some qualities about the person, these are all functional description. When you say the appearance, physical appearance, you are describing physically, right? Let's go to, so the third, computers and maths were his domain. Domain means area of knowledge. Domain. You see, domain. All these words they are pronounced like domain, saying like this. So this is area of knowledge. Right? So what is his area of knowledge? से कौन जानी थी कौन जानी थी विकी जो विकी बाबत जो विकी विषय रे ब्रेन कहूची से विकी कौन जानी थी से कुछ कहूची से computers and maths. He knows computer, how to use computers. He also knows better mathematics. He does mathematics. He solved the problems of mathematics easily. That's why he says he had a very healthy mind and he was logical, wise, judicious, and that's why his dominant area of knowledge was computer and mathematics. So mathematics and computer is his domain, his area of knowledge. He was fond of, dear students, everybody has his own liking. निजर गोटे कौन विषय प्रति निजर टी दुर्बलता थाए भल लगे क्या गणित भल लगे क्या कंप्यूटर भल लगे क्या गणित जार भल लगे हूँ तो भाषा भल लगे लैंग्वेज भल लगे निज मातृभाषा कि इंग्रेज भाषा तेणु बट he was all these things say that Vicky was very brilliant because usually the brilliant boys they know how to use computers and also they know how to do mathematics or solve problems, right? Then let's go to the last line of stanza number 3. His motto in life was no pain, no gain. His motto means his belief. He believed what he believed. से कौन विश्वास करुला motto. Belief, faith, or his you can say his philosophy or his thought. What was his motto? His faith was, his motto was no pain, no gain. Means this expression says that he was very hard working. He worked hard. कठिन परिश्रम करुला. He was not idle, right? He believed. His belief was no pain. Means if you want to achieve something, you have to take a lot of pain. जोड़ा को ओडिया रे आमे कहू ते कष्ट नकले कृष्ण मिलिबे ना. जदि कष्ट करिवा, जदि आमे कठिन परिश्रम करिवा तेबे निश्चित रूपे आमे सफलता हासिल करिवा. If you work hard, definitely you can achieve success. And this is what no pain, no gain. This was his belief, this was his faith, this was his life thought, this was his life philosophy of Vicky. So Vicky was not an idle boy. He was very active, he was hardworking, he was sincere, he was punctual. Right? Let's go to the next stanza 4. So dear students, we discussed stanza 3 and you see, so the brain gives information about Vicky and it describes Vicky. This stanza is about description of Vicky, and description can be done in two ways. One is physical description and functional description. Physical and functional, right? So this physical description says he was smart. Smart means this is the similar words are what we say synonyms. Very clever, brilliant, active, genius, and talented. Right? And he was sane. Sane means this is sane, not sane. This is sane. Sane. Having a healthy mind, logical. We should not say logical. This is logical. All the A words, hospital, logical, like this. So this logical, wise, judicious, and he was also full. His life was full of life. Full of life means he was happy, cheerful. His life was enjoyable, and his vigor. He was very strong, and he had a lot of strength like sun, wind, and rain. This is all about his physical description. And now we come to functional description. He was interested in computer and mathematics because his brain is very logical, wise and judicious. That's why he was fond of, or his liking subjects were computer and mathematics. And he has his own motto. Motto means belief or faith or thought or philosophy, whatever you say. So his philosophy in life, his thought in life, his aim in life was no pain, no gain. Means we have to work hard for achieving something. Let's go to stanza 4. In stanza 4, the brain, in stanza 4, the brain gives information about his relationship with his family members and also his friends. So when we write essays in our examinations, and in my type essays, we also write, we need to write, or we are supposed to write, there is a guideline, or we get one point, relation with others, or relation with the society. Exactly, the poet here describes his relation, Vicky's relation with his family and with his friends. Family members, right? And his relation with friends. Right? So let's see relation with his friends. First line you see, Vicky's love for his parents was truly insane. Insane, the word. Love for his parents was insane. Insane means excess, too much, right? Very much. We can say must. So he loved his parents very much. He liked his parents too much. I already told you he was the son of that family, and he loved his fathers like anything. Anything means chitte mane bhalo pai pare se bapu manu se bhalo. Right? Now come to the second line. And he adored his grandma, wrinkles and cane. Adored. Adore means appreciate, like. Right? He liked his grandma. What? Now wrinkles. You can find folds with old people in their skin. There are folds. So, तमें देखी थो बिले. So चमो सब डॉट ही थे, बंका ही थे, तो कमें wrinkles will come. And he appreciated his grandma's wrinkles. His cane. Her cane. Grandma's cane. Cane means by the help of she walks. We can say walking stick. That is used as cane. So you see, he liked his wrinkles. He liked his skin. Means छमोड़ा को जे भल पाउछ देखि कि से ता ग्रांडबा केते भल पाउथो सेटा होछ बड़ कथा। यू सी जे ग्रांडबा बुढ़ी मार जे मान करो से मुह को छमोड़ा को देखि से भल पाउछ लाइक appreciated. So in heart how much love he had towards his grandma. ता बाड़ी की भी ताको बाड़ी की भी से भल पाउछ से हेल्प करूथिबा केन को स्टिक को मध्य he appreciated his light, he loved. So in his family he had his parents, his father and mother, and he had also his grandmother, right? And now come to these second two lines. In the second two lines, in college when he stole a glance at Lorraine, why his heart went thought, only I could explain. The brain says, I could explain, means he was the brain of Vicky. So nobody knows why his heart beats thought, that is a sound. heart beating sound. Heart beats. Why is heart beats? Means he stole. When he stole means here he take a look, quick look. Glance means look. He take a quick look at Lorraine. Lorraine is the name of a girl. The poet here, again this is a fictional name. The poet says, when he quickly looks at a girl, he is afraid of this situation. Means he was a young man of good character. एपरिक से झील मान को देखिले मत से निजुको ताकू खराब लेके कार को चाहे ना. He never, that means he never looks at the girl. He was a very sincere boy with or having a very good character. Right? So he had a good character. When he takes a quick look at a girl, he becomes, or his face becomes same face. He was ashamed of this type of things. लाजुक थिला काहा कथा भी पदे कहनुथिला काहा टिके देखि देले से निजुको डरी जाउथिला ता माने हठात he was afraid of all these sights. That's why he was a very good child, having a very good character. So now you see in stanza 4, stanza 3, description of Vicky, and in stanza 4 his relation with his family members, and his family members, his parents. He loved his parents in shame, in excess. He had a lot of love towards his parents. He had much love towards his parents. He loved most, like anything. दुनिया रे सबुठु अधिक से भल पाउतला. And even he appreciated his loved his grandmother, grandmother. The poets कवि कहउछथि तांको मुहर थिला समूह ताको भल लागुतला देखिया पय माने से हृदय केते भल पाउतला. How he loved his grandmother. He appreciated, he adored his stick, her stick and her skin, folded skin, her wrinkles. Let's go to the third part. So students, first part, the brain gives introduction about himself. Who is he? Where he is? How is he? Like this. The second part, stanza 3 and 4, description of the main character Vicky. The physical description and the functional description. से केमती देखा जाउची कोन करूतिला ता केमती बुधिया थिला. এবং the fourth paragraph is about his relation with his family members and his friends. So the last two lines of this stanza 4 say that he was a liking boy by all his friends. All his friends loved him, liked him, because he was a good friend to everybody. Right. Let's go to the third part, and the third part is about the incident which brought the brain into this formal injury. That is the most important part. Let's go to stanza 5 and 6. Stanza 5, let's start with stanza 5. This stanza 5 talks about, I am going to read out and you please listen. On a wet monsoon day, for a task mundane, Vicky rode his wife to his friend in the next lane. For once from wearing his helmet, he did refrain. God, oh God, met with an accident, gory and inhumane. So on a wet monsoon, this story begins. When one day, once upon a time, on a monsoon day, on a rainy day, the sentence begins. That indicates that gives information that the writer is going to narrate a story, maybe an incident or an event, right? So now the poet starts in the lips of the brain मुहरे कवि वर्तमान कहउछन ब्रेन कहउछि कथा जो ब्रेन टा जो फॉर्मालिन जार जो ब्रेन अछि से ब्रेन कहउछि जे ऑन ए वेट मॉनसून डे. So this is all about an event, or this is all about the narration of an incident. Incident means a दुर्घटना, event घटना, incident दुर्घटना. वर्तमान the poet starts to narrate an incident which was very heartbreaking, very painful. On a wet how? When we narrate an incident, always we write. आम रचना लिखला बेले जदि गोटे घटना ऊपर लिखुचे, स्कूल एक्जिबिशन ऊपर लिखुचे, पिकनिक ऊपर लिखुचे, किए केबे कोठी हितला कोन हितला काहे केला कोन फल होला ए सब जिंस हम लिखु where, who, where, when and how, what happened, all these things. So if the poet begins this to narrate an incident, definitely we can get answers in his writing to this type of questions. So narration means we can say who, where, when, why, then what happened, like this. So who means we have already discussed. The main character Vicky is described here. So who is here? This incident is about Vicky, right? So Vicky's accident, or this is about Vicky. The character is, who means character, right? Where means the place. So where it happened and when it happened. When means on a monsoon day. On a monsoon day, right? So on a monsoon day, and what happened? For a task mundane. Mundane. What is mundane? Mundane means ordinary. Or very common. Not important. For a mundane task what? Home task, homework, right? So for a mundane task, for an ordinary work, for a very common work, that is not important work. For this common work, this incident happened, took place, and happened to whom? Vicky. Why? Because for an ordinary work, right? Unimportant work. Right? And what happened? We will find it in the next stanza. Right? So, Vicky's on a wet monsoon day for a task mundane, Vicky rode his bike to his friend in the next lane. Where was his friend? His friend lived in the next lane. Right? For once from wearing his helmet, he did refrain. Refrain means stop. And did refrain means stopped. And when we bring the auxiliary before the verb, we give much importance on the action. Jadi कहवा I do admit, I did work, we give much importance. So he did refrain, stopped, but wearing helmet. So because the work was very simple, ordinary work, and he was writing to his friend who was living in the next lane, not very far, very close to his house. So he stopped wearing his helmet. That's why he met with an accident. Right? So what happens? Oh God, he met with an accident, gory and inhumane. So what is gory? The accident, that means the situation which was full of blood, bleeding situation. This stanza 5, fifth stanza talks about the incident that took place, and the poet narrates the incident. So here this incident is about Vicky, and the time was a monsoon day. It was a monsoon day. It was a rainy day. It was raining. And for a very common thing, for an ordinary work, for a piece of ordinary work, he was writing to his friend, and his friend was also living in the next lane, which was not so far, it was nearer to his house. So he could have walked, he could have gone to that place on foot, but unfortunately he wanted to ride, or he wanted to take his motorcycle. He always used his helmet, but unfortunately that day, because the distance was not so far, that's why he did not wear his helmet. This is a very simple carelessness. Simple carelessness. Right? So for the simple carelessness, what is that? Because he did not have to go to a long place. His friend was living in the next lane, very close to his house. So he did not put on his helmet. And what happened? So he did refrain, means he stopped wearing his helmet. Right? He did not put on his helmet. So what happened? God, he met with an accident, gory and inhumane. Right? The accident was gory and inhumane. So gory means a very serious condition. That means the situation was full of blood, bleeding situation, full of blood. Blood-shed situation. Right? And the accident took place. When the accident took place, the place was covered with blood. Right? And that was also inhumane. Inhumane means the poet thinks that the accident was, he says, this is also the accident, he says, the accident is just like a person. He was very cruel. Right? This is also one type of personification. Even the poet says the accident was very cruel. He was very cruel. It was very cruel because the situation was full of blood, bleeding situation, blood-shed situation, all this like. Right? And this stanza talks about that for a simple carelessness. He used his bike, he used his motorcycle, and he met with an accident when it was raining. Maybe his vehicle slipped on the way. Right? Let's go to the next stanza. What was the result of that incident, and what is the message of the poet? So the first two lines of stanza 6 So let's go to stanza 6. Right? So stanza takes first two lines. And then last two lines. I have already told you when we narrate an incident or event, we see there are some characters, there is a place, there is a cause, and there is an effect or result. So what was the result? The first two lines talk about the result of the incident. Right? The result of the incident or the effect of the incident, and the last two lines is the suggestion or the message of the poet. Right? So now you listen to the first two lines. All it took was a stray moment in name. A young life lost, a family crossed with fame. So all it took was a stray. Stray means a separated moment. He was alone there, right? And in a moment, a dark moment, means when he was going, actually the time was not dark, but the poet says that was a very dark. Dark means that is a very precarious condition. The situation was a very dangerous situation, very painful situation, very heartbreaking situation. That's why the poet uses a name. Right? So in name means dark. And another word the poet uses, the word is that is stray, a moment, stray moment. Stray moment. Separated moment. He was separated from his parents, so he was alone on that place, in that situation. And a young life lost, a family crushed with fame, crushed. Suffered. Suffered with pain. So very simple carnage place. Because he did not use his helmet, he met with an accident and he lost the young boy who was very clever, who was very strong, who was loved by everyone. He also loved his parents, his grandmother. He passed away, he lost his life. This is the result of this accident. And the last two lines you see, the last two lines, the poet gives a suggestion, his own suggestion, which comes as the message of the poet. Means, dear friends, he gives advice to all the readers, all the audience, those who will read his poem, those who will listen to his poem. Oh my dear friends, take care. Risky driving can give a pain. That is very important. All the ideas you can find here. My dear friends, take care of yourself, or otherwise risky driving will be or can be a pain. Right? Risky driving. Why risky driving is risky? There are so many causes. At the time of introduction, we have already discussed there are 5 major causes like helmet, seat belt, speed driving. I again repeat this. Helmet, seat belt, then your speed, alcohol, then we can say also your invisibility, disobeying rules. So many others are there. Disobeying rules and talking to friends at the time of driving, sending messages, using mobiles. So many things are there without taking care of the rules. And all these things are risky driving. So please take care of all these rules, means road safety rules. All these things, road safety rules. So if you follow road safety rules, then you can avoid the road traffic injury. And this is in short we say RTI is a common expression, RTI. So to avoid RTI, road traffic injuries, to decrease the death number, you should be very much careful for risky driving. So my dear friends, my dear readers, my dear learners, after 1 year after your examination, HS examination, you will go to college and you may use motorcycles, bikes. So you should take care. You should take care of yourself. Otherwise, things will be different. Right? So my dear friends, my dear readers, my dear learners, please take care. Don't go for risky driving. And if you are not careful for risky driving, then the result will be vain. Vain. Vain means the opposite of goal. Means it will be a negative result. That will be a vain for you. That will be a curse for you. Right? That will be a negative result for you. If you don't take care of this risky driving, safety rules, if you don't use helmet, you don't use seat belt in your vehicles, 4-wheelers. If you are not so careful for your speed, and if you take alcohol, if you don't take care of your invisibility, sometimes we are tired for we don't care for this and we ride our vehicles or we drive our vehicles. So please drive safe. So my dear friend, my dear students, you please look at this phrase, drive safe. That is written in capital letters. That is the message of this poem. So drive safe, let your precious life not be in vain, not be unsuccessful. In vain means unsuccessful. So the poet, sometimes in the poems, the poets they use capital letters in words. And you see, whenever you find words with all the capital letters, you must think that the poet wants to say something very important. Right? Kavita is the particular. जे कोट गोटे इम्पोर्टेंट कमार अच्छी कोट गोटे कैपिटल लेटर लिखा है सेटा होची से कविता से विषय मंजी से कविंकर सेटा होची मेसेज. So what is the message? Drive safe. This is the message. Right? Drive safe and let your precious, your costly life not be in vain. In vain. Means don't be so much careful so that you can achieve success in your life. In vain means unsuccess. Right? So not achieving your objective, not achieving something that is जे जदि जीवन को असफल करने को चाहूँ ताहले केयरलेस हो जदि सफल करने को चाहूँ इफ यू वांट टू अचीव समथिंग इन योर लाइफ यू वांट टू live a very good life then drive safe obey the traffic rules and also you help yourself and you also save others life and so in this poem what happened the poet wants to say that although Vicky this is Vicky is a fictional character an imaginary character and his brain is speaking his brain is talking to the audience he is talking about how he came into the jar and how he is preserved there, what is his work. But lastly says, although Vicky was very strong, he was very talented, he was very clever, his mind was very strong, he was logical, he was very curious, he was very conscious, he was very careful, he was appreciated by everybody, he liked his mother, father, he loved his mother and father, he liked his grandmother, but for a simple carelessness only he did not put on his helmet because he was going to the next lane which is very near to his house, that's why he lost his life. So please take care of yourself. Let us see the summary in brief in a diagram. Summary of the poem. So we'll see the summary of the poem. Students, we discussed the poem Stanza wise, and I have already told you this poem can be divided into 3 parts or 3 SCPs. We say SCP. Each part is called a SCP, sense group paragraph, right? So or sense group stanzas. So this poem can be divided into 3 parts. So let me draw a diagram so that it will be easier to understand for you, right? So this poem we can divide this poem into 3 parts. What we say SCPs. Part 1 is called SCP1, sense group paragraph stanza SCP1. Then second part is SCP2 and the third part is SCP3, right? And SCP we have already discussed. Under SCP1 we have 2 stanzas, stanza 1 and 2. Right? SCP2 is stanza 3 and 4. And SCP3 is the last 2 stanzas, stanza 5 and 6. So my dear students, whenever you are reading a prose or poem, please divide the text into different parts, basing on the sense. अर्थ मुख्य माने मेन आइडिया को आधार करके ताको आमे गोटे प्रोज को गोटे पद्य हो बा गद्य हो बा गोटे गप हो ताको आमे विभिन्न भाग रे पार्ट रे भांगी दबा एवं से भागर मेन आइडिया उडा को जानि देले इट विल बी इजियर फॉर अस टू अंडरस्टैंड द टेक्स्ट एंड टू राइट आंसर्स to the questions in the examination, right? So stanza 1 and 2 is about, I have already told you, in the first stanza Vicky's brain says something about him, right? So introduction of Vicky's brain, introduction of self-introduction. You can say this is about self-introduction of Vicky. Right? Self-introduction of Vicky, the main character in the story. Right? This is first stanza, and in the second stanza also he says his condition, his situation, how he is insulted and staying inside the his feeling inside the jar. His feeling inside the formalin jar. Right? So he says, I am Vicky, I am Vicky's brain, I am staying here, I am watching here, I am sitting here in disrespect, all these things he says, and he also says, I don't like this situation, I don't want people to say this is a specimen. This is specimen. This has been kept for study purpose and for giving enjoyment to the people. I don't like this. Right. Then come to part 2, stanza 3 and 4. And part 3 and 4, stanza 3 is the description about Vicky, the physical description and functional description of Vicky. Description of Vicky, right? He is strong, he is clever, he is intelligent, all these things. He was a college going young man and all these things. And stanza 4 talks about his relation with family members, and his relation with his friends in the college. Right. Then stanza 3 is about the accident, narration of the incident or accident. And last stanza is about the very heartbreaking situation, the painful situation of that accident, that is the lost life or that is the death of the character or Vicky. Right? So this is about the result of the accident. And finally, again, these two things, finally, in the last 2 lines, the message of the poet. Right? So, started with self-introduction of Vicky's friend, this is Vicky's friend, not Vicky. This is self-introduction of Vicky's friend. Right. So started, he said, I am this, I am here, and my job is this, like this. Then his feeling, how he feels inside the jar, why he was preserved there, why he was kept there, all these things. Stanza 1 and 2. Stanza 2 says how he was. He was a brilliant boy, he was strong, he was a young boy, he was a college boy, all these things. His brain was healthy, he had a very healthy and sound mind, sound life, all these things. Then his relation with his family members and his friends, he loved his parents very much, he loved his grandmother very much, he loved his grandmother's wrinkles and his speak, and also he loved his friends because he was also ashamed of looking at the girls, means he was having a very good character in college. Right. Then the last 2 stanzas, that is narration about the accident, the poet narrates, describes the situation, how the accident took place, what happened to the accident, and at last how the character lost his life, the young boy lost his life in the accident, and then message of the poet that we should self-drive, we should drive safe, we should obey the rules, and risky driving always becomes a bane, not a boon. Means we achieve or we get negative result if we don't care or if we don't take care of all the rules, road safety rules, and we don't obey the road safety rules. This is all about the summary of the poem from the permanent chart. I think you have understood the text. Let's go to the comprehension questions. Again, if you do not understand, if you have any doubt, then you can also understand better. You can clarify your doubts at the time of discussing comprehension questions. Let's go to comprehension questions. So, dear students, question number 1: what is this poem about, or who is the poem about? Who are the characters? We can say. So, this poem is about Becky's brain and how that brain was preserved, was kept in the formalin jar. Question number 2: where is Becky's brilliant brain? We have already discussed. The Becky's brilliant brain is inside the formalin jar, inside the jar in which there is formalin compound, chemical compound which is called formalin. So where is Becky's brilliant brain? The brain is inside the jar. Very simply. Why is the brain put inside the formalin jar? I have already told you. The formalin jar has been preserved. The brain has been, why is the brain put inside the formalin jar? The brain has been put inside the formalin jar because of two things. One is for display, for view, people will look at it, and number 2, the students will gain knowledge. They will do their research work on this formalin jar brain, or brain inside the formalin jar. Who is the brain talking about? The brain is talking about Vicky, the young boy, and how the accident took place. So the brain is talking about Vicky. Who it means here? About Vicky. What does the brain say about Vicky? The brain says that Vicky was a strong and beautiful, handsome boy. He was also very clever, sincere, logical, wise, intelligent, judicious, and so on. Right? Do you think that Vicky and the brilliant brain are two persons? No. The brilliant brain and Vicky, these are the same person. These say that both of them are the same person. Sometimes, if for a person we use he is a brilliant brain. So Vicky was a brilliant brain. Means the brilliant brain was Vicky, and Vicky was also the brilliant brain. The same person. Which were Vicky's favorite subjects? We have already discussed. His area of knowledge was computer science and also mathematics. So his favorite subjects were mathematics and computer science. What is the motto of his life? Motto means belief. We have discussed his faith or his belief in life, his thought in life, his philosophy in life. So the motto of his life was to work hard, so that we can achieve success. No pain, no gain. Means if you want to achieve success, you have to take a lot of pain. Was Vicky good at studies? Yes, Vicky was good at studies. How do you know this? Because he was good at mathematics and computer science. Usually the good students, they are good at mathematics and computer science. Vicky loved his parents. Which line says so? Vicky loved his parents. You can look at stanza number 3 and stanza number 4 and first line. Vicky's love for his parents was truly insane. Insanely, he loved insanely, excessively, maximum love. He had a lot of love for his parents. So stanza number 4, line number 1 says that he loved his parents very much. Question number 13. Which word says that Vicky loved his grandmother very much? The second line of stanza 4. And he adored, he appreciated his grandma, her wrinkles, her cane, her stick, her folded skin. He liked and he loved very much. So stanza 4, line number 2. Right. What else besides studies did Vicky do during his college days? During his college days, he worked hard because he was a hard-working boy. He did all sorts of work at home because his belief was no pain, no gain. That's why he was very hard-working. Right. Who was Lorraine? Why did he steal a glance at her? This is a fictional character. Lorraine is a fictional character in story. Maybe she is a girl in story. And Vicky stole a glance at her means he looked at her quickly and he was ashamed of this action, this activity. He was a very good, he was a young boy of good character. That's why he did not like to do this. But when he looked any girl means girls like Lorraine, he was ashamed or his face became shamed face. Right. Number 16. Why does the poet say that only the brain could explain the cause of Vicky's heartbeat, thought, the sound? Because the brain was with Vicky. That's why the brain is the controlling authority. He is the store of the memory. That's why the brain says he can explain the instance of the situation or the feeling of Vicky. Right. Number 17. Read the stanza 5 and 6 again. What are they about? How are they different from others? So stanza 6 and 5. Stanza 6 talks about or describes or narrates the incident, the accident, who was there in the accident, where it happened, how it happened, why it happened. But stanza 6 is about the result. What happened at the end? He lost his life, and the last 2 lines of stanza 6 is the message. So stanza 5 is about the accident and stanza 6 is about the result of the accident and the message and suggestion of the poet. Where was Vicky writing? Vicky was writing to his friend. When and why? On a monsoon day and for a very simple piece of work. Some simple work, common, ordinary work. Where was his friend's house? Was it very far? His friend's house was in the next lane. It was not so far. It was very close to his, or it was nearer to his house. Why did he go to his friend? He went to his friend for an ordinary work or personal work. What caused the accident? Which words in the poem describe the accident? Because the accident took place because it was a monsoon day, maybe it was raining, maybe the vehicle slipped, and because he did not put on his helmet, the accident became serious and he lost his life. Which words in the poem describes the accident? There are 2 words in the fifth stanza. The 2 words are the accident, an accident, gory and inhumane. Means it was very cruel accident, painful accident, and it was also solitary accident. There was nobody, separated accident. There was nobody with Vicky at the time of accident. What meaning does the line "for once from wearing his helmet he did refrain" convey? Was it Vicky's habit to wear his helmet? No. So question number 22. What meaning does the line "for once from wearing his helmet he did refrain"? For once means he was a very sincere boy. He was a sincere young man. He put on or he wore his helmet always. But once in that occasion, when he was writing to his friend for an ordinary work, for a very common, simple work, he did not use this. He stopped wearing his telephone only once. Right? How did the accident affect Vicky and his family? In the accident, he got his brain injury. His brain was injured seriously, and Vicky lost his life, and his family members, his parents and his grandmother, they suffered, they cried, they suffered a lot, and that was unbearable loss for the family. Intolerable, unbearable, uncontrollable situation was there. What message does the poet have for the young generation through this poem? The poet says, you may be very strong, you may be very sincere, you may be very brilliant, very clever, very wise, but you should not be careless. If you are careless for a simple thing, then definitely you will have to lose a lot in your life. So everybody should be very careful in his life. Can you say why such dreadful accidents occur on the road and cause death every moment? Every moment this type of accidents take place because people, they are not careful, they are not sincere about the road traffic rules, about the road safety rules, about the risky driving. That's why such type of accidents take place every day. Suggest some ways to reduce road traffic injuries. So we have to be very careful. We should take care of the road traffic rules. We should obey these rules. We should motivate others. We should make others aware of all these things. Those who are quite ignorant of these things. जोମାନେ जानी ना थे उनको भी हमें बुझेगा, हमें नीचे भी जत्नवान हो. Let's appreciate the poem. Who donated Vicky's brain to medical college? How is it preserved? Maybe his parents, and it has been preserved in the formalin jar. So in the jar there is a chemical compound that is called formalin, and inside the formalin jar it has been preserved. Question number 2. What does the line on display to promote knowledge gain express? The line expresses that the brain was preserved, or the brains are preserved for two things. One is for display, or to show other people. The other people, they will see it, they will enjoy, they will see, and the students, they will gain knowledge, they will improve their knowledge, they will take up research work, and they will study using this or with the help of these brains. Who is called a specimen? The brain is called a specimen, sample. It रखा जाए sample हिसाब रे. Why the brain preserved as specimen? Specimen means other people, they will see how the brain is, what is the brain like. Brain टा केमती समझते जानी पारिबे बुझी पारिबे. The structure, everybody can understand the structure of the brain. How are the brilliant brain a part of living human 2 years ago? Because this was Vicky's brain, and that has been collected with the permission of Vicky's family, and that has been put here. What does the phrase 8 ended up in this jar mean to you? That means after the death of Vicky, the brain was taken out and it was kept in that jar. Which expression suggests that Vicky was hardworking? No pain, no gain. The expression no pain, no gain says that Vicky was hardworking. Why does the poet say only I could explain? Because that was the brain of Vicky. So Vicky's brain knows everything of Vicky's life. Should we consider such demise by chance or by choice? We should consider that this is by chance, because this is not by chance. This is by chance, this is not by choice. Because by chance he was writing to his friend, by chance it happened. Unfortunately, the accident took place. The poet uses flashback, which is often used to recount events that had happened before the story started. Which stanzas talk about the past events and which ones the present. So the first two stanzas talk about the present things, and the stanza 4, stanza 3, 4, 5, 6, all these 4 stanzas talk about the past things, right? This is the flashback. Find the rhyming words in the poem. There are so many rhyming words. In each stanza, we can find 2 pairs of rhyming words. Brain, disdain, gain, again, specimen, human, within, chagrin, sane, rain, domain, gain, insane, cane, Lorraine, explain, mundane, lane, refrain, inhumane, inane, fame, vain, lastly in vain. All these words are rhyming words, right? They produce a pair of rhyming words, means they produce same sound. Eka badiya shabd sman karanti. Brain, disdain, gain, again, like this, right? Why does the poet use capital letters for the first 2 words in the last line of the drive safe? Because that carries the last 2 words. That carries the message of the poet. The poet wants all the young people, all the learners, all the students to be very much careful, even at the time of riding their cycles or at the time of walking on foot. So drive safe. Whenever you are riding or driving, you should drive safe. This is the message or this is the suggestion, is the advice of the poet. That's why the message or the most important idea, the lesson that we learn is in capital letters. You read and understand the poem. Do you like the title of the poem? Why not? Can you suggest another title of the poem? So my dear students, you understand, you think about some new titles, right? Okay? So my dear students, we have discussed a lot, and I think you understand the poem. Please read the poem once again at home. Do all the exercises at home. And for writing, there is a question to write a report on a road accident. So basing on the contents that you understand in the poem, a कविता जो घटना देखिए, एक घटना देखिए, तुम्हें नीचे भागो कि I am a reporter of one newspaper, and you write a note on that accident, or you write a report on that accident. I think you understand. Thank you very much. Bye.